Hello everyone. Welcome back to Racing Action. My name is Striffy. I'm here from Canada, and joining me as always for Tier 2 Racing from the UK, Unicorn. How you doing? It's round 4.
Yeah, round 4, China. I'm doing good, thanks, Striff. And, well, China, it's an interesting track, and we've seen a couple races around here already. And, well, and the drivers here. The roll of the dice on the weather, we're still waiting for it, Striff. And we were just talking to a few of the drivers. I think a few people are worried. It's been a long time since we've seen rain fully take an impact on a race. And
Well,
could tonight be the night?
well, I'd love to see it. I mean, the last time we saw a major race impacted by rain in China would have been Tier 1 last season. It was in a very dramatic event. Of course, we're here for round 4, China. Next week, we go to Zandvoort, the Netherlands, and then we have Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada, as well as France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Russia, and Japan. And then we have the USA, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi for the finale. 22 races on the calendar and a ton of racing to come through for all 5 divisions. Of course, this will be the 3rd race of the week now for MRL Action. Tier 3 was yesterday. America's following that, and that was a very, very fun group of races. And now it's time for Tier 2. Tier 2, one of the more intense, one of the tighter grids that we have this season, and you can see the standings now. It is very tight at the top. Hurricane leading things in the Ferrari, Crampy in 2nd position, and Neon rounding out the top 3. Alfa Romeo is currently leading this Constructors' Championship with Ferrari closely behind them, and McLaren there in the mixture as well. It has been a very, very busy season already, and we're here only on round 4 now as we jump into the Shanghai International Circuit. We are just about ready to go racing here, just getting all those drivers in and readied up to go. Going to be 18 minutes of qualifying and a 50% distance endeavor here in China. And, well, after the 2 races yesterday, I'm very, very excited and a little nervous for this one. As you said, that weather dynamic, I personally always say how much I like to see rain in these races, so I'd love to see it, and I think given how long it's been, everyone would as well.
Yeah, indeed. Rain would be, a lovely thing to see for us and the viewers at home. It would provide a very, interesting sort of dynamic to everything. But the drivers, they will not be wanting to, see it. It's much easier to drive, but there will be a few drivers out there who will thrive in rain.
Waiting on, I believe, one more driver to get into the session here. We are waiting on, not entirely sure who it is at the moment, but we do have plenty of racers to ensure a full grid. So I don't know if it's somebody having a bug of some issue, but we will get racing going in just a few moments' time. Thank you so much, everybody, for your patience. To sort that out.
There we go. We are ready. Scars just lost some sort of connection issue, so fingers crossed he can get himself back in. But everyone else ready and raring to go.
That is unfortunate. We are going to start things up here. Get him in. We were coming across saying that Scar's lost connection and he will more than likely be back during qualifying. So he's had some kind of internet problem, and that's very unfortunate. Better now, I suppose, instead of in the race. Hopefully he's able to get in and get a lap set here and race with us today.
Yeah, connection issues always unfortunate and not something you want to be seeing, but like you said, better to disconnect now, get yourself back in qualifying and be able to fight for those points in the race rather than losing out on them because of a disconnect during the race. Scars, P5 in the standings right now, so he will be wanting to sort of continue that run. It could be the championship for him. He's still very much a contender, given how early we are in this season.
Here we go. Getting that session loaded in here. Hopefully we have no technical difficulties. This has been the case for me, I guess, on these tier 2 races. It's been this thing happens. Get any frame drop, but yes, everyone loading in, and oh, there's some rain. Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to Shanghai. It is coming down here. So
Yeah, this is not what the drivers want.
this is going to be excellent because now, you know what this does, Unicorn. It's a dry race. And the entirety of this qualifying is going to get shaken down in a way we haven't seen yet in China, because everybody's been really playing with that quali here. They've been going out on softs and aborting laps and wanting to try and get into their most ideal starting position with a harder compound. Now everybody's going to be qualifying on wet compound tires, giving us dries in the race, which means everybody's got free tire choice. And that is going to give us a very, very unique situation, to say the least. Relax in the Racing Point will be the first driver to jump into these torrential conditions, and they are torrential conditions. Full wet compound tires are the standard for this 18-minute qualifying session, and no green rim tires as of yet. So this is really going to shake up this race.
Yeah, a few drivers have put on intermediates, and Max O'Connor reserving in the Ferrari right now. He's going to hop out on them. I don't know whether that's going to work out. This really looks like extremely heavy rain, and Relax on this outlap is sliding even on these full wet compounder tires. So I don't think that the intermediates are necessarily the right choice, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what times people start saying. And obviously a dry line will start to form towards the end of the session, and that's when we'll see everything. But setups are going to be changed as well. You know, if it's a dry race, you're going to want to use as effective as a dry setup as you can, but obviously that means that qualifying in these conditions is going to be even harder than it would have been without, or with, sorry, a full setup. But like you said, that tire choice, we might not see any softs on that starting grid, which is a fairly rare case, but I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I would genuinely be shocked if we saw softs on that grid, because if we saw softs in that starting 20, I mean, the tires, the softs here, they degrade rapidly. Just, it's ridiculous at how quickly they degrade here. And we'll see Relax now come through turn 16. He will be the first driver to potentially get a lap on the board here in these conditions. Wet qualifying, dry race. And we've had an issue. Rackety, unfortunately, leaving the session. Still working to get Scars back into the equation, but it would appear he's had an internet dropout of some capacity, and that will be unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo squad. Henry has opted to retire in the pit lane, and we can see why. Relax right now, the first driver out here, is absolutely drifting through Sector 1.
Yeah, and these conditions really not doing the Racing Point any favor right now, but he's not the only one who's going to be struggling with them, but he's keeping it going right now, and we'll have to wait and see. Also, putting on the Henry thing, I believe Henry has a qualifying ban.
Yes.
Freeway coming across in the chat as well, so Henry retiring there, and he'll probably be, you know, if there was a place to get a qualifying ban on wet weather quali, Rackety rejoining, and a huge slide from Relax. He's really struggling in these conditions, but still keeping that car pointing in the right direction, going around the Shanghai circuit. This is long right-hander, turn 12 into 13, and traction out of here can be difficult at the best of times. And onto this long straight, probably a little bit of, you know, respite from the corners here in this wet weather and torrential downpour.
This is such a difficult hairpin in the rain. It was, of course, that iconic moment with Yoda, Tier 1 last season, at the end of the race where he had, if I'm not mistaken, Fraser come up his inside. And Yoda winning that race at the line. I believe penalties playing a role, but Relax will set a 149 flat. And that is not, not something that you see the time for here in China often. It's normally, you know, we'd be seeing 130s, and I believe the Tier 2 grid, 129s. But look at this, Neon now, 146.6, finding things a little bit easier in the wet conditions than Mr. Relax. Who else can we take a look at? Azir now. The Williams. He has yet to set a time, as have a few other drivers. Who's just come across? The Ferrari of Max O'Connor. Giving a tow to Hurricane into turn 1. Maybe unintentionally.
Yeah. He's disqualified on the inters as well, so I'm watching Kai right now to see what he can do in the Mercedes, because he's on the intermediates as well. I think what we're seeing here is that sort of condition where it is that sort of switch over point. It's not quite wet enough for the full wets, but it's a little bit too wet for the intermediates. So obviously the intermediate, probably what you want to be qualifying on if you can. We'll have to see what Kai Machini does. It's second place on 146.7. So right now, it seems to be they're pretty balanced.
Yeah, I have to say, he did good to get that car there. I believe Aliens just crossed. Azir now is about to cross, and he's going to set right ahead of his teammate. The two Williams are on the move, 3-4 out of them. And once again, just a reminder, we are going to be having a dry race, and I think that this rain's lightening up just a little bit here as these inters start to get times in. I could be mistaken, it could be different through the sectors, but a lot of these drivers are on inters now, and it looks like they might have been waiting for other drivers to come out, get times set before they decided what they wanted to do. Because Crampy, Rackety, Jake, they've all moved out onto these green rim tires.
Yeah, and the qualifying in the wet is sort of a little bit of a waiting game, but if no one goes out, then you don't get to see what those conditions. Jean hops into P2 at 146.6, and that's on the wet compound tires, so maybe the wets around here right now still the tire compound to be on, but Kai's proved that it can be done. This is Max O'Connor. Hurricane at 145.9, and that's on wets as well. 7/10 clear of Neon in P2.
Jake right now in the Red Bull. He is about to begin a lap on the intermediate tires, and this is going to give us a very full picture here of what these tires can do. He has not yet set a time. Going through Sector 1, trying to stay on that line, that dry line, but as he pulls it in tight here, you can see a lot of water.
And on some of these corners where there's just that tricky bit of traction, you want to be careful in the dry. When it's in the rain, that problem just gets exacerbated, made a little bit worse. It's a purple Sector 1 for the Red Bull. So I think you might be right, Jeff. It's lightening up a little bit here for these intermediates to come into their own.
Definitely. These intermediates, we thought we would get a straight qualifying on one set of compound tires. I thought everybody was going to come out here on the wet compound, but everybody said, nah, I can do it on the inters. So even with this qualifying in the wet conditions, we're seeing all of this difference in tire, whereas we knew we were going to get that in the dry condition, but now we're getting it in the wet condition too. I think it's very, very unique.
Yeah, 8 minutes in, and Neon now, P2 on the wets. He's coming for inters, and he's out on an out lap, so we'll have to see if he can improve. That really is just going to be the final nail in the coffin of the wet tyres. So I'd be very surprised if we saw many more people come out on those full wets. As Jake comes down into turn 14, this infamous hairpin. See what he is capable of doing. Weltering hops into P2. Jake, though, 145.1. Sees him 8/10 clear of Hurricane.
That's a major indicator. That's a major indicator to this grid.
Well, there's another one, Crampy. Rackety as well.
Yeah, this track is getting a little bit quicker. Intermediates, I think it's safe to say, are now the optimal tire compound to be on.
I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind right now that the green wall tires are the fastest at this moment in time. Neon, he was P2 before all these tires started crashing in. Now on the intermediate compounder tire, what can he do in the McLaren?
Yeah, provisional pole has gone for him for now. He'll want it back, though. Neon, if I'm not mistaken, had pole position last week around Hanoi. or at the very least started on the front row, got himself involved in a little bit of an issue. And I think it might have just been all downhill from there for that race. And there's a big slide coming out of him. Gets it under control nicely.
Yeah, a bit of an unlucky outing last time in Vietnam. A very tricky circuit to get right all throughout the campaign. And, well, he'll be looking to get some more points on the board. He's been on the podium twice this season. He'll be looking to get up there again. Get back to winning ways. But right now, that huge slide we just saw a few moments ago isn't going to be doing his pole attempt any favours. Coming out onto this huge straight, and obviously no DRS in this qualifying session. The conditions far too poor for that. So some of the impact on the times, especially with this huge straight here at China.
I'm afraid he may have just been slightly blocked on the way into the hairpin there. Azir sleeping on the apex, it would have seemed. Not entirely sure what happened there, but we'll see what Neon's able to do, as we're still waiting to see if we can't get Scars back. We haven't heard from him. I don't think he's having a good day of the internet at the moment. Neon with a very nice time here, Unicorn. It's a 42.745, and that is going to be once again out of the McLaren's provisional pole position. And, well, that is quite the gap to the driver behind. 1.196 from Neon to Jake. That is a stellar lap from him.
Yeah, and that's with that slide as well, so that leads me to believe that this track right now is so much drier than it was just 5 minutes ago. And now Relax, he set the first lap of the session. He's now gonna come around the final corner and set his next one. 149 was his previous best, and well, look at that, a 143.3, 5.6 seconds found in that racing point. And the track right now is a lot drier than it was, and it's only going to continue to dry. Jake right now is coming up to the final corner, and I think we're going to see a lot of people drift just trying to set the last lap of the session, because, well, there's Jake, 7/10 found, a 143.2, still half a second off of Neon, but the track's just getting drier and drier.
Yeah, this wet qualifying session has really thrown a monkey wrench into the works here. XTXP coming through the final turn now in the Renault. Let's see what he's able to put forth. He was up nearly 3 seconds coming out of Sector 2, if I'm not mistaken. What's it going to be? 5.1 seconds shaved off that time. 43.823 for XTXP. He is into the second row as Kai Bicini cancels that out and says, excuse me, I'd like to be on that row as well. So he's actually pushed into fourth. He had a 143.324. Azir in the Williams, a 42.735, and this circuit is continuing to dry. The question is, who is going to land on pole position at the end? It would seem that these drivers who've all crossed in this top 7 are now on in laps. Hurricane is on another run. He's about to come through the final turn. What is he able to do? 45.9 the current time out of the Ferrari. To the line, pole position from Hurricane. It's a 42.494. Very nice time from him. And things are continuing to ramp up here in this qualifying session. 4.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, a lot of drivers just finding huge heaps of time, and it's not something you'll see usually in dry conditions where people are finding 3 to 5 seconds on their lap time. Swifty right now, he had a problem on his first lap out of the final corner. Just lost all traction, managed to save it though, but he's up 2.2 seconds through sectors 1 and 2. And, well, that would see him go up a few places, but I imagine we're going to see him get way more time through this final sector. As another little slide as he comes out of turn 13, just a little bit sideways, but it won't phase him too much as he comes down towards this hairpin, where we're looking to nail the exit and then that final corner. He won't want to mess that up again. A little bit of a lockup for him. He comes out of turn 14 through 15. Now onto the final corner. Is he going to be able to get this one down a little bit better than last time? He is. Towards the line, the Red Bull up to 7th place. 4.2 seconds found for Swifty. Very, very nice from him.
Aliens in the Williams. He will be crossing to begin a lap. current time. A 47.255 out of him. And he will now begin. Behind him, take a look, Jean. For those that... Well, I tried to mention this yesterday and completely had a major mistake. Yes, Jean is taking over duties for Adrian here at Haas for the remainder of the season. Adrian stepping down, and Jean has a 46.675 on the board right now. For his debut, he's 13th position starting. Of course, Jean has been with us for 3 seasons of MRL racing. This will be his 4th time, and we're happy to have him back.
Yeah, weltering now. He's on for a bit of an improvement. 1.9 seconds sees him into the top 10. In the Avatari, his teammate, I believe, Liam's just jumped him for 9th place at 143.944, just half a tenth ahead of his teammate.
These Chinese Grand Prix that we've had never cease to amaze. You know, they never fail to... It is always unique races around here. We had Tier 3, we had Americas, now we have this really, really wild qualifying session here to set ourselves up for the 50% race. And as we know, it is going to be a dry running event for this race. The big question is, what tires are everybody going to jump onto? Swifty not able to improve on that last run. Still utilizing that energy, still having fuel in that car. We'll see if he's able to do something else. We still have a minute and a half remaining here. But things are tight. Hurricane on pole. He is improving right now in that Ferrari. He's coming down the back straight. He has a few drivers ahead of him. A racing point is about to cross. I believe that is going to be Relax beginning a flyer. Another Haas into the pit lane. That may be John.
Hurricane's championship rival Crampy right now. He's flying in the Alfa Romeo, and he waited for that first lap. You can see him right now, 144.9, and that was in that sort of around the 9th minute mark when the track was still a little bit damper than it is now as he flies down the long straight, picking up a little bit of a toe off one of the McLarens, but nothing major as he comes through the hairpin. I believe Liam's just improved into 4th at 143.2.
Major improvement out of Liam there. Yeah, Hurricane also improved by a 10th, getting away with murder on the exit curb. Stewards missed it. Crampy, however, did not, and he's improved by 2 seconds, 42.833. Very nice time from the Alfa Romeo. Unfortunate Scars is not with us just yet. Hopefully we can get him into the equation, but he has not had the best of it when it comes to the internet issues. Aliens in the Williams. He is on the move, as is Swifty, and I think Jake is moving, but Swifty's closer. Swifty invalidating on the exit. That is going to hurt his opportunity to improve. Here we have Aliens now.
Yeah, I think Crampy's pushing again in the Alfa Romeo. I don't think he's happy with that previous lap.
Aliens takes the flag. 43.355, 8th position for the time being. Neon is on the run. Hurricane seeming like he is not on the move right now. Azir also contesting for pole position here in the Williams. He is just a little bit further ahead of Neon. We'll follow along with him. A little bit of a slide. Rackety takes P4 at the checkered flag. Relax Jake, 6 and 7 so far. Aliens push to 10th. 50 is in 11th. XTXP in 12th. As everybody finishes out their runs. Azir coming into this hairpin. No battery deployment. Not entirely sure if he's going to be looking to improve on this run or if he's just going to come straight into the pit lane. And it's going to be a trip to the pits.
Yeah, Neon removed all of his battery deployment. Crampy, well, there's 4.5 tenths, and that's pole position for him right now, 142.3. Neon is indeed into the pit lane, but only person I think now who can challenge Crampy is Kai, and I don't think he's quite got it here as he comes down towards the line. Yeah, not an improvement. And that track right now, almost looking dry strift. So I think Crampy right there took full advantage of it.
Yeah, I have to say that that circuit dried up very well near the end of this qualifying session. 18 minutes. It started torrential. It turned into a near dry circuit, and we're going to have dry running in just a few short moments. But that is the current picture of this qualifying grid right now. The gap is pretty tight considering the dynamic of this qualifying. I have to say it's pretty well a second to 1.4 near the back end to pole position. So we have it here. Crampy on pole position. The Alfa Romeo, a 42.351 from him in this very, very dynamic qualifying. Hurricane in the Ferrari, just 200ths less shy from him. Neon there in the McLaren. He rounds out the top three here. Azir, Rackety, 4 and 5. We'll go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap. 2 drivers yet to set times. Jones was not able to get a time in. Henry serving a qualifying ban. We take a look at things right now. Jean was the only driver to set a time on the wets at the end of this session. Gap down from first is basically a second all the way to 15th, 14th position. So it is going to be a tight matchup. We're going to get a complete shuffle of tires as well, as we are going to dries now. And everyone's going to be happy to see the sunlight, as am I, Unicorn.
Yeah, I expect it's going to be a sea of mediums and hards, but the choice of which is, it's going to prove a little challenging, I think. It depends on what people think about their tire strategies. I think the only time we'll see softs is if someone maybe tries to go for a hard soft, at the end of the race. I don't expect we'll see too many on the starting grid. Maybe someone just thinking in that same line of thought and being like, well, if everyone else is on mediums and hards, there's a few early positions here to be gained on that softer compound, but probably going to lose them straight away in that early pit window onto hards for the one stop. But I expect most people here going to try the medium hards, mediums, and maybe a few hard softs as well. But it's all about to be unveiled in about 6 seconds as the session countdown goes down. Everyone works out what that strategy is going to be for them.
We're going to have the formation lap here now ahead of this race, and now we're going to get a full picture of tires, and I'll tell you something, not a single set of red compound to see here. The softs are not being utilized on this race start. So there you have it. But what a shuffle of tires it is. It is pretty well majority hards here. I think only, let's count quick, 5, 6, 7 drivers on the mediums. Wow. It's 8 actually. That's crazy. So 8 mediums, 12 hards, and a lot of drivers. I want to say a few drivers out of position here as well in this grid. Not necessarily where they would have qualified otherwise had it been dry. There was a lot of track evolution to play with in that last one, in that qualifying session. So we'll have to see. We'll really have to see here. I think it's anybody's game. We've got Crampy, Hurricane, Neon, your top 3 right now. Azir in 4th, Rackety in 5th. Cotter's in 6th position. We've got Relax in 7th, Jake in 8th, Liam in 9th, and Kai rounding out the top 10. Aliens, Weltring, Max O'Connor here in a reserve capacity for Darian Alfie today over at Ferrari. Swifty John there in 14th position with XTXP in 15th. Mammal will start this race 16th with Jean behind him making his full-time debut for Season 4 at Haas in place of Adrian for the remainder of the season. Jones is in 18th position here in the Racing Point, and Henners, after serving his qualifying ban, will be starting this race at the back of the bus in 19th position. Of course, get those predictions in for safety cars, things like this. We want to know about it, and we want to know who you've got winning this race.
Yeah, just that split between these mediums and hards is crazy. What's really interesting is that a lot of them are bunched up. You've got these 3 medium runners from 3rd to 5th. You've got a couple of hard runners behind them, a couple of medium runners, a few hards, and they're all sort of in blocks of compounds. Those medium runners, most of them bunched together, and that means they're going to be sort of on similar strategies, obviously, especially those on the medium runners. They don't have the hard mediums or the hard soft option. It's basically just the medium hards there, unless they want a 2-stop, which I don't think we'll see without a safety car. But everyone forming up and getting ready for this race start.
Of course, big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Check them out in the chat. We are just about to get the lights on here in Shanghai. Of course, Unicorn, take us away.
Well, there we go. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here at Shanghai. And they got out, and away we go here. And Hurricane, even on those hard combat tires, seems to have got a slightly better start than Crampy. The 3 medium runners behind them, though. Oh, and it's Rackety, I think, getting a bit sideways. And he's caught the Red Bull. There's another Renault off behind him. It's XTXP and Codders, the Haas and the Renault coming together. And that's a VSC. No one's out of this race on the restart, but a lot of cars sideways. Seems Neon and Azir are struggling to work out who should be ahead of who. But it looks like the Williams is in P4.
Well, what I can say right now is the Williams is actually closer to P3, considering Rackety was at the top of the timing tower. Rackety having that issue right now. VSC deployed. The timing tower playing its usual tricks on us, but we're back to green flag racing. Who's had a good launch here? Azir, hot on the rear of that Alfa Romeo. He's got Neon looking up his inside. Ooh, that was really touch and go for the McLaren there. I do not know if that was the best move, but things are so intense through this grid. We've got further yellow flags popping up at the rear of this grid. It looks like Relax has had an issue. Codders is back there as well. We look back to the front of things. Crampy, Hurricane, very tight here with a charging Williams on the rear. Neon has dropped off a little bit of position. We'll take a look in a few moments' time to see if there's any damage playing a role for these front runners. Max O'Connor right now is in 8th position. We look at the position changes here already. Swifty, Max have been big winners here. 7 positions and 5 positions gained for each of them. Jones, Jean, Henry, all moving up as well. Kai Bacini and Weltering wheel to wheel down into the hairpin. Who's that on the rear? Aliens is looking at them. Weltering, defending to that inside. Kai around the outside now, gets the move done. He has to go and hunt down the next Alpha Tauri, and it is going to be Hurricane leading us here into lap 2.
Yeah, Kai's hopped into the pit lane, and well, I'll tell you something about that damage update drift. Jake right now in the Red Bull in what I believe is P5. I don't know which one of these front runners. I think Hurricane's missing off of the timing tower for some reason. He's down in 17th, but he is still near this race, I believe. But Jake is missing an end plate right now in 5th place, and that's not going to help the Red Bull's chances in the rest of this race, as a little bit of lag hopping our way, and the timing tower is really confusing. But a few drivers into the pits, Kai, X6P, Codders, and Relax all getting rid of their lap 1 damage. And well, you can already see just how far behind they are. The pit lane here pretty long, and well, it's a difficult track to catch back up on as well.
It definitely is. You don't want to be falling out of range of the drivers ahead. DRS can play such a role here, most definitely around that back straight. Right now, this front end of the grid is in a significant train. A little bit of separation right now between Jake and Neon. Neon has just had a major spin coming out of the... Oh, that is the most... Oh, no! That is the most unfortunate thing. A quick reaction to try and rejoin the circuit. Fast movers coming through, and I have to say that was not the greatest idea. The McLaren of Henry now, he is going to dispatch his teammate, as is Jones. Major amount of damage on the front end of that McLaren. Max O'Connor and Swifty wheel-to-wheel coming through 16. Swifty on the inside is through. The Ferrari charging, though. The DRS now on the rear wing is going to be available. No, neither of them have DRS here on lap 3. It's the telemetry's playing with me. It's only lap 3. Of course, it's not happening just yet. And now we've had an issue with Rackety's connection. He's left the session.
Yeah, Swifty and Max O'Connor still side by side. The Ferrari really trying to find a way past on these medium tyres, but just not finding it. Swifty is putting up a stellar defensive drive, and well, he's sort of tail gunning it a little bit.
Oh, we're gonna have to park it up ahead. Sorry to interrupt you there, Unicorn. We have a wheel-to-wheel battle right now. It's Azir and Crampy doing some work. Azir wants that second position. Crampy says no way. Hurricane says, you guys keep fighting. I'm gonna do some work up here and pull away if you don't mind. And right now, this is exactly what the Ferraris want. We take a look at the tires right now. Hurricane is also on the hard compound tires. These drivers behind him, they're on the mediums. And there goes Azir with a neat move. Will it be enough to hold this Alfa Romeo behind into the hairpin, though? What racing we're seeing here.
Yeah, very, very nice place to pick up that move. Down into turn 11. Very possible, but also at the same time, very tricky to just execute as well as Azir did there. Crampy does have DRS. The Williams has it as well. Crampy, a little bit of a late dive. Looking at the inside, he's lost his end plate on a Hurricane. A very, very interesting dive for Crampy. He probably would have got it had the Ferrari not been there. But with Hurricane just sat on that apex, Crampy on the mediums, well, that's not how he wanted to start this race out. Losing an end plate on lap 4 is just going to see these front two run away. And Hurricane on these hards, Shiv, he could be on for a very, very good result here.
Yeah, he is in a prime position on those tires right now. He can go long, but he has to worry about his ear for the time being. And although Crampy has taken damage, he still has a decent little bit of a gap to Jake behind. Jake also has damage on that front left. So it may not all be lost for Crampy, especially if Jake's able to put up a solid battle against Rackety. And, well, he won't be putting up a battle against Swifty, but at the very least, these two Red Bulls need to do something about that Renault sitting between them. And I know you're a Renault driver, but hey, you can agree he's giving them a problem.
Yeah, indeed. And, well, he's got problems of his own. Connection's really plaguing him right now, but still 5th place, so...
Weltering on his teammate here, Liam, and we have had a rejoin in the session here as the timing tower has indicated. Those timing numbers will update once Hurricane and Azir cross themselves into lap 5. What a race it's been here so far. A very explosive start to this race. That qualifying definitely did this race a little bit of a, well, it really shaked things up. We'll say that.
Yeah, those first few laps, no safety car to speak of. So, you know, a couple of VSCs, but haven't seen that Mercedes join the front of this grid, but a few drivers still just as close as if they are. Still more rejoins coming in as connection issues are plaguing everyone, and Swifty is getting very close to the rear of Rackety. Can he find it here up the inside of turn 2? Switching back into turn 3, the Renault's on the inside, and well, it's still medium tyres. He's going to have that advantage. Liam and Max O'Connor are exchanging behind them. The AlphaTauri past the Ferrari, and there's more AlphaTauris exchanging. It's Weltering and Hennes side by side. Hennes has had a great start to this race. A quali ban saw him start 19th. He's now up to 10th, and he's fighting Weltering for what will be 9th place right now, and he might look for a switch back here, but Weltering really just parking that car and making it as wide as possible.
Here goes Neon around the outside of XTXP into turn 1 right now. XTXP on the inside. Here goes Neon. He's looking back to the inside through turns 2 and 3 now. A little bit of a shove of the Renault there, and there goes XTXP trying to find his line back through the inside. The McLaren, not entirely sure what's going on here. They're still wheel-to-wheel coming out of the turn, and I have to say, I don't know what to say about this. All coming out of Sector 1, Unicorn. This is absolutely wild racing we're seeing between these two.
Yeah, and the front lot aren't getting too split up either. Azure and Hurricane. Azure having a little look, but I think it's Jake who's the most likely to get one. And here he goes. He's got damage, but Crampy has fallen back with damage of his own.
Yeah, Neon has been unfortunately caught out, but he is slid. Jake Crampy, as you said, fighting here. There's so much fighting happening on this circuit. We're trying to get on board with all of it.
Yeah, and Jake did get the move, but a little deep into the hairpin allowed Crampy to come straight back past. And you can see the damage here is costing them 2.5 seconds now as the gap to Azir. And, well, he's just clinging to the back of Hurricane. He hasn't gone for a move yet, but he needs to take advantage of these mediums while he can. And that's in the next few laps. Swifty is finally getting a move past Rackety.
Man. The amount of racing going on right now. Henry up the inside of Weltering right now. We got Rackety fighting with Swifty. So much wheel-to-wheel exchanging going on just ahead of them.
Rackety's round just tried it on the inside of Swifty, and well, it goes caught, and the Ferrari of what I think is Max O'Connor there. It is. Just sort of collecting him there, but I don't think either one got damaged as a result of that.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Azir had another look at the inside of turn 11. This time on Hurricane, didn't get the move done, but really making his presence felt on that Ferrari.
Those mediums are playing such a good role for him right now. They're just letting him sit on him, and he'll be thankful the drivers behind, they have damage. 3.4 seconds the gap between these two front runners right now, and Jake and Crampy are still continuing to battle. Here goes Jake now on the inside, using that DRS, not too much battery. Crampy sticking with the rears now as we come through the hairpin. We have another yellow flag through Sector 2. Looks like Neon and Relax have exchanged positions.
Yeah, 3 cars down there battling for P16 right now. I'm not quite sure which one the yellow flag was waved for, but it's a very, very tight battle indeed. And, well, Rackety out of the session, but Kai
Oh,
is the one who's
no.
retired.
There's a safety car deployment. Kai is
He's on the
out.
track.
He's out, and he is partially on circuit here on the outside of the just leading into the DRS detection zone. Kai Bacchini's out of this race. Lap 7. Safety car has been deployed. Wow. That is a major, major development here.
This could really be great for HTXP, Codders, not Codders, sorry, Jean, the other Haas. They've both come into the pit lane here, and they could take Hordes to the end. I imagine that's what they're going to try and do. All the other medium starters are past that pit lane. Well, these guys who are on the mediums that they switched to, but the likes of Azir, Jake Crampy, Liam, and Max O'Connor might not be able to take advantage of this because of where they are on track right now, as everyone bunches up, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and take advantage anyway. Jake and Crampy as well. This would be a great opportunity to get themselves a fresh front wing. Both have been sporting a missing end plate for quite some time now.
Hurricane, Azir, Jake, the top 3, Crampy, Swifty, Liam, O'Connor, Max O'Connor, excuse me, Henner is weltering, Mammal, the top 10. The big question is, what is the pit situation for all of these guys? Because, I mean, this is not good for any of them. Realistically, I mean, everybody started on these harder compound tires, but what is the decision? Hurricane's staying out. Azir is calling it, and he's going to jump in on these mediums. Where is Jake? I imagine Jake and Crampy, it's a no-brainer for them to come in and get those wings fixed up. Swifty has opted to stay out.
Yeah, all the hard runners sticking it out here. All the medium runners hopping in. The medium runners can switch to the hards to the end. And in the eyes of Crampy and Jake, like you said, no brainer, get yourself that new front wing. Whereas, with these guys on the hards, they can't go to mediums on the end here. So, very, very tricky stuff as Crampy has some sort of connection issue as well, which is unfortunate to see. But, safety car, best time to get one.
Any of these drivers that stayed out right now, they have a very, very unique situation that they find themselves in here. And I'll tell you something. Out of these 6 that have not yet stopped in this race, they all want that safety car. They need that safety car, but they don't need it just yet. They need it around lap 15. They need it, actually, they could even do so, lap 15, even a little bit later because of this safety car. They can stretch those hards a little bit longer, but they want that safety car because what it will allow them to do, it will give them a pit stop the same as it's given the rest of the grid from behind. Rackety has now apparently been disqualified from this session, parking the car in a dangerous location, and I am not entirely sure as a result of why, but there has been reports of Rackety desync, so that is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think Rackety was in the process of rejoining this race, so not quite sure how he's been disqualified, because I do think it's an AI right now in control of that car. But some really weird issues for a few of these drivers right now. Rackety, an unfortunate race. It looked like it was going to go very well for him, but connection to steam issues for the Renault driver. Very, very unfortunate for him.
Safety car now. We're about to jump into lap 9 under these conditions, and I imagine we'll be back to green flag racing shortly. 28 laps of racing here around China, and we've already had so much to talk about. That opening lap with the VSC was absolutely unique and chaotic, I have to say. I want to take this quick moment, of course, to give a quick shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you haven't heard, they are a fantastic manufacturer of beginner to expert level racing rigs and fantastic equipment. So check them out, of course. Exclamation NLR in the chat. Thank you so much. Just click that link. It helps us out a ton. And since we are under safety car, there is not too much going on. Let's talk about what we think might happen here. You guys in the chat, tell us who your top 3 are now, given the situation, because it really has shaken up the strategy, and Unicorn and I will discuss what we think here. A little bit going on under the safety car conditions, it would seem. Rackety has now joined back to the session. He will be very, very disappointed to find that his car is no longer running.
Yeah, that's the strategy right here. Right now, I think you got to look at the fame for in terms of, if you're just looking at pure strategy, Azure on these fresh hards, P6 right now. Everyone ahead of him still needs a pit stop. He can take these tyres to the end. That, to me, is a clear favourite. You've got Jake and Crampy as well, Max O'Connor, Liam. So, those 5 drivers on those fresh hards there, those are my favourites as to who I think really have the advantage here. But Hurricane, he's been so strong in the opening section as the safety car is coming in. But I don't know if the tyre strategy that has just been gifted to those 5 drivers who started on the medium compound of tyres just might not be Hurricane's race anymore.
I'll tell you one thing right now. Azir in the Williams is in an absolutely fantastic position now. We saw a VSC disrupt the drive of Squid yesterday in Tier 3. Now we're seeing a safety car come in for Azir here. He came in, fresh hards, the 5 drivers ahead of him, all on worn rubber. This puts the Williams squad in a very unique position, especially with Azir having been so tight to Hurricane already in this race.
Well, when is Hurricane gonna throttle down? Safety car well and truly into the pit lane now. You got to expect he might go straight after this corner. It's not gonna be the case though.
Well, now he's
there
gone.
it is. I think
Swifty's been caught out as a result here. Henry and Swifty wheel to wheel already, coming down into turn 1. Henry looking to the inside, switches back onto the rear of the Red Bull. Swifty looking at Hurricane here through the opening of this lap. And of course, we've got some exchanging in the back. Wheel to wheel right now coming through turn 3 and 4. It's Max O'Connor and Liam. Who's got the front row seat to this? Relax.
Azir as well. He's having a look at Mammal. These soft, fresh hard, sorry. Really giving the Williams a bit of a burst of pace. He's up the inside. Weltering's wide, and he might get 2 for 1 here. Jones is going to look to follow him through. As Azir now into P5. Jones past Mammal as well. Henners and Swifty still battling as well. There's a lot of positions jostling for Mammal. Jake, they're only going to look at Jones, and Liam and Max O'Connor are still exchanging. Down for the final points position, and that is an AlphaTauri well off the track. It's Liam. Relax just gets out of the way.
XTXP looking up the inside of Liam right now. Liam trying to recover that position here. XTXP has a slide. He's going to get that under control, though. He's going to lose some position. He's now into the rear of this grid, but he is not too far gone yet. We're coming into a hard-braking hairpin. We'll see if he's able to do something to catch up. Jake and Mammal now exchanging once again as we come into the hairpin. Here goes Mammal with a defense on the inside. A little bit of a lockup here, squeezing off the Red Bull. Very tight defense there for Mammal, but it's not going to be enough to hold off Jake for the time being. Neon now is on the move. He's in 12th position. He is also just taking a driver through the hairpin. Liam is into 13th, and this is very intense on this restart, and this is what we wanted to see at the beginning of this race, but the VSC coming through, playing a big role. John, Liam now, wheel to wheel through turns 1 and 2. Liam on the inside. John, does he have something to do here with this AlphaTauri on the inside? A little bit of a shove there, a little bit of a tap, but John, Liam, no damage. Jones and Jake just ahead now. Jake is moving through into 6th, and he's taken 2 drivers inside of a sector.
Yeah, very strong restart now. Jake with that fresh front wing, these new hard compound tires on the Red Bull. He could be a very strong contender for the rest of this race. You can see Azir there up ahead. There's no longer a car in between them that there was on the restart. Azir's really been held up here by the AlphaTauri of Weltering. Just hasn't been able to find a way past. Can he replicate the move he made on Crampy down into turn 11? It's going to be a little bit too far back on the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, Weltering here, a little bit of a shaky exit in comparison. Of course, he's got those 10-lap-old hards to deal with. And Azir, Jake, they've got the fresh tires. And look at this gap. It's less than 0.2 of a second between it for these two. No DRS required. Just a little bit of battery to get some torque into the tires. And it's away we go, says the Williams. And there he goes, ahead down into the hairpin here in Shanghai. Neatly done. Not a lot that Weltering can say about it. Jake now will be the next to try and dispatch the AlphaTauri. The sister car is now ahead of the Charging Bull.
Yeah, Crampy and Mammal, they've exchanged positions. Crampy around the outside through the final corner. A very nice move from the Alfa Romeo driver. Mammal might have a little look up the inside, down into turn 1 to try and get back past, but realizes that doesn't really work. Backs out. Very sensible and very good to see that kind of patience. Jake side by side with Weltering through turns 3, and Well, as he comes out and into turn 4, all over the rear of Weltering, who's been putting on a stellar drive from these guys on the fresher hards. A little bit deep, though, a little bit of a lock-up. Almost cost Jake another bit of damage on that front wing. He's going to try and get the drive here. Mammal and Max O'Connor behind. They've exchanged in exactly the same corner. The Ferrari now up into P9, and the reserve having a pretty strong drive here. And what I believe is his MRL debut.
This has been absolutely wild racing that we have seen through this grid so far. So much to look at through this grid right now. Neon, Mammal, wheel-to-wheel Neon around the outside of Mammal has now dispatched the Mercedes. 4-lap old mediums is what that McLaren is running at the moment. Relax is behind Mammal on the 9-lap old version. Now, yellow flag through sector 3. Not entirely sure why. Well, who's that? Relax has had an
off
issue.
Through turn 11. Yeah, not quite sure. No damage on the racing point, but it really hasn't been his evening.
John missing an end plate there in the Haas. He may have been involved. We look to the front of the grid now. Hurricane still holding out well on the hards. He's got Swifty and John. Sorry, not Swifty and John. Swifty and Henry behind him as an element of separation to Azir on those fresher hard compound tires. Of course, none of these racers yet to pit here, but they are holding on to those top 3 slots.
Yeah, exactly. Crampy really needs to start getting rid of these cars on that, alternate strategy, who started on the hard compound tire. Azir and Jake, they've dispatched these guys already, but Weltering and Jones still sit ahead of the Alfa Romeo, and he's using ERS, but he just doesn't seem to have the pace on these guys. He did say prior to the race he's not that strong around this track. And
Neon wheel with Max now as we come out of sector 1 into the S, and Neon has dispatched that Ferrari sort of interrupted their unicorn.
Yeah, no worries. Crampy just really struggling to get past, and even though these guys are on these older tires, he just doesn't seem to catch them at all. But Azir, he is making a little bit lighter work of these guys on these aging hard. He's caught up to Hennes now, and he's still got a gap to Jake. He just doesn't want to get stuck like he did behind Weltering a few laps ago. It's a much better place to catch someone, though, on this huge straight. Henry, a lot of ERS to play with, but he's not going to use any. He realizes this isn't exactly the place to defend as you're not someone. He's racing there side by side going down to the hairpin. Hennes early on the brakes. Not exactly going to make this difficult for Azir, but he will take it back if the Williams just leaves the door open like that. And now,
wow,
side by side into the final corner. Hennes, he doesn't want to fight this guy, but he does. Was he going to make it too hard as Weltering and Jones almost spin? And that's Crampy into the wall. Crampy is out of this race. A huge spin through the final corner.
That is not good for Crampy. Is that going to be another safety car here? That car is on circuit. We're trying to get a look. Relax is coming into the pit lane. We're not going to have the look that we want, and that is going to be a full course safety car. Relax. He called the bluff, and he jumped into the pit lane right there and then, and he got into fresh tires. Wow. So, here too, presenting us now 2 safety cars and a VSC in this session. 3 drivers are out of contention. Rackety, Kai Bacchini, and now Crampy in the Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeos are out of contention for this one. Unfortunate Scar is not able to join us due to some internet connection issues. But we have a little bit of a breather once again before we do it all over with that rolling restart. It was a very intense rolling restart. Now the big question is, what the heck is going to happen with these front 3? And the drivers, well, they have to pit now. I wouldn't gamble anything else. They have to come in, those drivers that haven't pit yet.
Absolutely, there's no way you can just disregard a safety car pit stop. But the problem these guys have is it's so close to the last safety car, whereas before the grid was a bit split up because of those lap 1 shenanigans, the early race where, people had boxed for new front wings, that kind of thing. Whereas now, the grid's fairly spaced out, so when these top 3 pit for mediums and Jones and Weltering as well, they're going to be flung straight down this grid, and that's not what they want. They will have the tyre advantage, but the likes of Azir, Jake, and now Max O'Connor will be at the front of this grid. Well, Max O'Connor might come as Neon, who's on those mediums.
Well, one thing's certain, Azir is now in lead of this race. That is for certain. Jake is in P2, and as you said, yes, Max O'Connor will be in P3. And those are your top three. They have all come in, and they can, if I'm not mistaken, all go to the end on these hard compound tires, albeit they won't have the most pace in these tires, but look at where Hurricane has landed. P6, Hurricane, fresh medium compound tires. I think he's on for a win. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased for Ferrari. I'm saying that because strategically he's had the best pace all day.
Well, Ferrari have got both strategies covered. They've got a little bit of luxury, as do Red Bull. So I would be surprised if it wasn't one of those two teams very present on the podium. Azir as well, he's been pretty strong right now, but it all depends on these tires. 14 lap on the mediums, very, very doable. And like you said, Hurricane has been really showing why he is top of that championship right now. He's yet to take a win this season, but he's been on the podium 3 times out of 3, and I would be surprised, like you said, if he didn't make it 4.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, and this is going to be such an interesting race dynamic now. Everybody's come in. We only have 1 penalty on the grid. Only 1 penalty on the grid. It's Max. He's taken 3 seconds, unfortunately. We've got 3 cars out. We take a look now. Fastest lap of the campaign hasn't even... Well, it's not showing me the lap. Now I have to go and look. Apparently there's no fastest lap. So let me see which lap this is. 134.350 seems to be the fastest one so far. That's Azir that holds on to it.
Yeah, pretty close at 134.352 from Neon, but by 2,000th of a second, I do believe that is in Azir's grasp at the moment. As Liam is dropping like a stone. He's had a problem through the last corner.
No, I was wondering what that was. I was looking to see if he was coming into the pit lane. But Liam has had an issue under safety car conditions, and this has slotted him to the rear of this grid. He's on 7-lap old hards. That is not what the AlphaTauris wanted. Weltering on the fresh mediums, however, he is in a bit of a better position for this one.
Yeah, the biggest problem I can see these medium runners can have compared to the front 4 is sort of infighting between each other. There's a lot of them. There's a block of 6 there, separated by Relax before Aliens and XTXP. And if they battle between themselves, they're going to struggle to catch the front 4 right now. Max O'Connor with a penalty, that could really come to bite him at the end of this race. But Azir and Jake especially, they've been looking very, very strong so far in terms of pace, as has Hurricane on those mediums. But Azir and Jake, if Swifty and Hennis can battle and hold each other up, then it could be a real mix of these drivers on that podium. And I don't think this is going to be decided until those last few laps. I don't think we're going to have a clear winner after this safety car restarts.
Big shout out to Crampy. Very unfortunate race for you, sir, but we would like to thank you so much for your support of the stream. Thank you very much for your Twitch Prime subscription. Of course, thank you to everybody who has been supporting the streams, hanging out in the chat, watching our races. We really, really appreciate the support. And of course, we're just about to go racing once again here as that safety car is on its way in. Azir in the Williams will be leading us through on this restart. He's got Jake and Max looking at him in his rearview mirrors on the left and right, and we'll have to see how these 3 play off, with Cotters behind them on the 9-lap old hards and an entire train of hungry medium runners.
Yeah, the medium runners are the real sort of ones to watch. How Hurricane, I think that the best start here is to just dispatch Cotters straight through the first opening corners. If he could find a way past, that would really aid his race, not only to just sort of get a leg up on these hard runners, but also to put a car in between Swifty and himself. And it looks like as he has gone already.
Yeah, he's gone.
Mildly off course.
He's gone. Jake, I don't think he saw this coming. Look at the launch out of Azir. He was just playing the field, slow as you go, down into that hairpin. Safety car's in, and he just gunned it out of the hairpin.
Oh, Swifty with a huge lunge on the inside of Hurricane, and I think it's just about worked for the Red Bull. This is not what the Scuderia wanted, but Hurricane on the inside through turns 3, coming out now through turn 4. Weltering's out. He's retired it in the pit lane. But Swifty, that was a very valiant effort to try and take P5 away from the Ferrari, but Hurricane putting on an equally valiant defense to keep that position. But this is just what the front four need. Codders might be in the firing line, but, well, DRS is already broken to Max, and it won't be long until DRS is broken to Jake, who's out of DRS of Azir. So Azir absolutely nailed this restart. Textbook stuff from the Williams.
I have to say, what happened to Weltring? He retired in the pit lane on a safety car restart where we had seen him in a very, very decent position. Now here we go, more action. Still wheel to wheel. This time, it's the Ferrari of Hurricane with Codders as opposed to the Red Bull of Swifty. Hurricane has already dispatched the Haas, and I think Codders is in trouble. The Charging Bull isn't even going to need... Well, he was not going to have DRS. He's using that battery, though. Codders putting up a valiant defense. It's a drag race on the rear of the Ferrari. We'll see what happened last time someone was on the inside. Oh, there's a big dive, and it's happened again! Hurricane, coming through that hairpin, has been victim twice to a lunge on the inside from a driver behind.
Yeah, it hasn't really unsettled the Ferrari, but it's going to be scary. I mean, the Swifty has got past Codders. You know, it wasn't necessarily a necessary defense, but he's well and truly entitled to do it, and Swifty just a little bit eager. He needed to follow Hurricane through, and he's done so. Henner's now up the inside of the Haas. He's going to take P6 away from Codders, and Hard's really not working out for the Haas driver. He's had an unfortunate turn of events today. Henner's has picked up a penalty as well, the second person to do so. His teammate is going side by side with Jean. It's Neon down into 14th place, and he's missing an end plate already, Strift. So very, very unfortunate for him, but Henner's, despite that quali ban, is still looking very good for points here this evening.
Yeah, Henry getting the points for McLaren last week when Neon had his struggles. It's shaping up to be that way again. Swifty now, not much of an answer with the McLaren here. Through the inside, it's still wheel to wheel. The space is being left. It's a very, very tight exchange. Swifty holds it for now, but I have to say Henry is looking very, very rapid in this McLaren right now, and Swifty might be in trouble down this back straight.
Yeah, well, what did I say before this restart? That if Swifty and Henner's battled, Hurricane would start running away, and that's exactly what's happening. 2.5 seconds the gap now. The McLaren, still no DRS available to him, but ARS going straight up the inside of Swifty, and here he goes, down into the hairpin. Swifty a little later on the brakes, Henner's around the inside. And, well, there you go, easy as you like for the McLaren. Just squeezes Swifty a little bit off the track, but both cars still on their way, no damage. DRS re-enabled, and, well, Hurricane is right behind his teammate. It may be a reserve, but they seem to work it together a little bit during qualifying.
Jones on the rear of Codders into turn one right now. Codders going a little bit deeper. Jones looking for a push on the way through the inside. Does he get this done? Yes, he has dispatched the Haas for 7th position. And the hards are really, really affecting Codders right now, and I think Mammal will be happy about that. 1.1 is the gap to this position ahead of him for 8th. So much exchanging happening on this restart. The tire strategy coming in here. Aliens is on the rear of Relax for the final points position. There's a tire differential there. There's tire differentials everywhere on this grid.
Yeah, and the most prominent right now might just be Hurricane and Jake. Hurricane is really putting in a huge shift to catch Jake in that Red Bull, and there's not a lot, I don't think, that Jake could do to stop this. It's going to be a little bit inevitable, and even at the end of this race, when Hurricane's tires will start to feel a little bit old, the hards will be 19 laps old, and there's not a lot. You could just see the speed, even before DRS there. Hurricane is just absolutely blown by Jake. And, well, there's not a lot that the Swede is going to be able to do against that. Relax and Aliens, a similar story down there. The Williams breezing past the racing point for that final points position.
Very, very, very tight race after 2 safety car restarts and a VSC in this race. I have to say this is probably one of the most dynamic races we have seen this season. We aren't even done yet.
Yeah, we've still got 8 laps to go. We're about 2/3 of the way through, and like you just said, it's far from over here. And Jones and Swifty, they look like they could go toe-to-toe in a few laps' time. Swifty, no damage on that car, but he's really dropped off the rear of Henner's. I'm not quite sure what's happened to the Red Bull, unless Hennes has just started to really put his foot down as he catches Max O'Connor. And will look to use DRS down that long back straight to try and get him down into the hairpin, I should think.
Jake still within a second of Hurricane. He's just dropped out of it as we make our way into the DRS zone here. I want to see if Jake is going to hold DRS on the Ferrari right now, or will Hurricane be free to go after Azir? Right now, Hurricane less than a second the gap between him and the front runner. Jake does have the DRS, but he was tight enough. Here comes Henry now on the rear of Max O'Connor. Well, actually, we're going to jump ahead. Here goes Hurricane around the outside of the hairpin. Azir under threat already. I didn't think it was going to come just yet, but the speed with that DRS, the exit now for the Ferrari. Wheel to wheel through the final turn. Ooh, there he goes. Hurricane is in the lead of this race, and already he has gone away like a rocket. Nearly a second the gap already. Henner's not dispatching Max just yet. The McLaren on the pit straight is through into fourth position coming through turn one, and I have to say it has been some great racing we've seen overall today coming out of Henry.
Yeah, just a huge amount of positions gained from 19th to 3rd now. He's really put in a shift, and it's showing here. Those mediums, he might even be able to try and catch Jake and Azir, but a podium might be off the table given that penalty that he has picked up. So I don't see him finishing much higher than 4th, but it could still be a good haul of points for him. Alien, and Mammal have just exchanged places. The Mercedes dropping down to 10th place.
Neon has been dispatched by Liam. He's got that front right end plate, and this race has just been a racing and learning experience for Neon today, I think.
Yeah, Jake just got a little bit shaky at a turn 10 as there's a yellow flag, and well, Neon's race going from bad to worse.
A little bit of a snap. He holds up John. I want to take a second to talk about Aliens. He took Mammal, major lockup on the overtake, but he had such a lunge and a serious overtake from him. Now he's got Cotters lined up in his crosshairs, and I think Cotters is just done here. He doesn't have any answer for this. Aliens, DRS, a little bit of battery. That's the recipe for this overtake, and it's going to be a nice move. Does Cotters have a... oh, there's a slide out of the Williams. Aliens comes out in front of Cotters, gets it handled, and he is going to hold 8th. And those tires he's on, they are going to have more pace than Cotters at the moment. Mammal is breathing down his neck and his rearview mirrors now as well.
Yeah, well, Cotters, I think it's pretty much all but over for him. He's out of ERS. He's on these 15 lap old hards. They're slightly older than the likes of Azir, Jake, and Max O'Connor. And really, it's been a super tough race for him. He's putting up, you know, a strong effort to try and fight for a point. He could still score 1 or 2 here, but really just a super tough effort race for him. And he's trying his hardest to pick up 1 or 2 final points, but it's going to be a real struggle for him.
Gaps on grid right now. We take a look at the gap to leader from first all the way down to Neon right now. 51 seconds as Neon has come into the pit lane for a fresh set of softs. He will look to get the fastest lap of the campaign. Lap 22 right now.
Max O'Connor. He might get gifted the run here with these medium tires. He'll have DRS as well, but the Ferrari not so fortunate. And here you go, Striff, this carrier speed that we see when someone's left without DRS down this huge back straight. There's not a lot that anyone could do to defend against it, but they can try and come back from it. And well, Max O'Connor, beautifully executed switchback. Is the Racing Point gonna have a look at the inside? He is. And well, beautifully done from both drivers, kept it very clean. Swifty's just looking on from this. He's going to try and get himself past the reserve driver in the Ferrari as well in a few moments' time. You can see Max O'Connor going a little bit wider. That could be the opportunity that Swifty's looking for. It's not going to be the case, though.
XTXP has entered the pit lane. And that is a very interesting decision coming from them. See if he's going to go in for softs and get on to that fastest lap. 50. Oh, so tight to Max right now. Max has dropped off significantly from Jones ahead.
Yeah, Jones on those medium tires, trying to just keep following Henner's 3.5 seconds the gap right now. If he can close that by half a second, he could stand a chance of overtaking Henner's on the line in terms of penalties. When those 3 seconds are applied, I do believe it is the 3 seconds. It is just the 3 seconds for Henner's and 3 seconds for Max O'Connor, the only 2 penalties still. Very impressive from this grid, because this is a track where you can pick up just a few accidental warnings around a few of the corners. Swifty now looking up the inside of Max O'Connor, and the hards now, I really think, are starting to hit their point where they are just so much slower than the mediums, even slower than they usually are. Obviously, the mediums will start to die off a little bit towards the end of this race, but the hards are so much older. Double the age right now.
I have to say, Aliens is in a fantastic position to take Max and potentially catch up to this train, do a little bit more work before the day is done here, and give the Williams a solid haul. Azir has been having a very consistent drive in second position as well, so Williams looking good today. On the heels of the... Oh, as I've said it, no! Aliens has had a major issue coming out of the loop of Sector 1 here. And that is a commentator's curse if I've ever given one.
Yeah, that's possibly the worst we've ever done, Strip. You've really stuck it in for the poor Williams there. Aliens now with what looks like a fair chunk of that front wing missing. So he will not be happy about that, and it looks like no points to him. But like you said, his teammate Azir, still up in a strong points position, and well, fingers crossed for him it goes a little bit better than it's just gone for his teammate with just a few laps remaining. Henner's, though, really bearing down on these two drivers on the hards. I don't know if he's caught them quickly enough to get past them and then extend that 3-second gap.
Here we go, John now. He's looking at Cotters, his teammate here. Not entirely sure. It looked like Cotters was fighting John for a moment as we were coming into Sector 3. Now Cotters slipping himself between John and Relax. Cotters really putting in a long haul here on these hards.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if that was battling or just Cotters being very wary and aware of Relax there, not wanting to concede the position to both his teammate and the racing point. But nicely done from the Haas squad to get those cars exchanged contact-free and without losing Cotters out of the points. And now Cotters only behind him are other hard runners. Obviously, Relax's hard's way fresher as Aliens. He is going to call it quits there and retires in the pit lane.
That is very unfortunate there for him.
Henner's still super close to the rear of Jake. He's within half a second now. And Jake, I think, is going to be very, very vulnerable down this back straight. He's dancing around the 1 second mark to his year ahead, and he might not have DRS in that Red Bull as they come down onto this long back straight. Henner's using what little overtake he has left. Jake even less in the tank, and well, the McLaren has DRS, Jake doesn't, and well, that's game over. Despite the fact that they both have 0 ERS in the tank, Jake a little later on the brakes. Henner's a little bit braver though, a little bit of a squeeze from the Brit, but he gets past into P3 and the tyre advantage showing its stripes, and now he's going to try and get Azir as well, as Jake has picked up a 3-second time penalty, so Henner's can finish on the podium now, Striff.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge development for the McLarens right now. Those engineers over there are going to be sitting in that man's ear, telling him to just keep it going. You are now worrying about the car behind you, and that is it. Maintain the gap to Jones. And if he can, that will be a podium. But Jake, he's on these 17-lap-old hards, and I have to say that is not a good position for the Red Bulls right now.
Yeah, that 3-second time penalty, never what you want to pick up, but especially in Jake's position. Jones no longer has to catch 5 seconds, he just has to catch 2. Still a pretty monumental effort, but much more possible than it was before.
Henry, for those that are joining us late here, has moved up into 3rd position from 19th position on this grid. That means he started in last. He is now eyeing up podium. here in Shanghai, and I have to say this might just be the best drive he's ever had if he manages to finish on the podium.
Well, it's been such a strong performance from him, and you can't really fault much of what he's done. He's taken advantage of every situation. Max O'Connor on the rear of Swifty, not going to dive up the inside, playing it very, very safe, and lovely to see from him. Jean and Mammal, they're exchanging the Haas around the outside of the Mercedes, and Mammal just struggling for traction, keeping it so tight to the inside there.
Hurricane right now on lap 27, the penultimate lap of this race. Nearly 3 seconds the gap to Azir behind him, his closest rival. I have to say Hurricane has been having a stellar performance. He started this race on the front row in second position, not in lead of things. What a dynamic race it's been. I imagine anyone that watches this one back is going to be very thankful they finished it as well.
Yeah, it's been a pretty crazy race. 5 retirements so far. Neon picks up a 3-second penalty alongside his teammate and a couple of other drivers. I don't think it's going to play too much of a role in his race finish, but could play a role for these few drivers at the front of this grid who do have them. Azir right now, he's been so strong as well. A super drive from him in that Williams when everyone else on the hard just seems to have struggled. He's just been able to soldier on. He's pulled out a few very impressive overtakes as well. And he'll be looking to sort of cement himself a little bit higher up on the drivers' standings.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's just been, there's been a lot of consistent, very strong drives here from especially these guys in the top 5. I mean, we saw Jake, he had a little bit of wing damage there early on. He's recovered well. He's got that penalty, but a good drive from him, a good drive from everybody, realistically speaking, because we've had, we've had a couple retirements, Kai Bacchini, Crampy causing safety cars in those retirements. A little bit of opening lap drama causing a VSC Weltering and Aliens both retiring in the pit lane. It's been a very dynamic race. Here goes Swifty. Max coming through Sector 1 now, just out of Turn 4. Swifty, Max continuing to do the tango here. Swifty holding on to 6th position. We look at penalties here on the final lap. 3 seconds for Henry, Jake, as well as Max, John, Liam, and Neon. We jump to the front of things now. 3.5 seconds is the gap for Hurricane over Azir, and he is just continuing to pound the tarmac with that pace. And as we come through into the final sector now of this race, we're on lap 28 here in Shanghai. Unicorn, wow, what a campaign it's been.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. Some really, really strong drives from a lot of these racers. And, well, this, China again pulling out a race to remember for these guys. This is certainly one of the best races of this season, I think, so far. Relax and Mammal, there's still action going on. The Racing Point just picking up P9 at these late stages, but the Mercedes looks to the inside, but he doesn't have DRS. There's not a lot he can do. There goes Hurricane winning the race for the Scuderia. Azir picks up P2. Very well deserved. Henners will be seated on that podium just ahead of Jake with that 3-second time penalty. Jones failing to close that gap enough. And Jake's teammate, the other Red Bull, Swifty, picks up P6.
What a race this was. Hurricane, the win. Azir, the podium with Henners as well. It's a Ferrari, a Williams, and a McLaren on the top 3 steps. What year is it, Unicorn?
Yeah, well, I was just looking at another Ferrari. Max O'Connor just got thrown out of the points for his penalties. I thought he only had 3, but evidently not. There's a few drivers there getting put up the order. Relax hops into P7, so not a surprise. Connor's also picking up a point. He fought to the very end, and, well, he gets a point for his efforts as a result.
That was, I think we can all agree that was an absolutely awesome race to watch. We're going to have interviews with the podium finishers in a few moments' time. We're going to raid somebody as well after that. But wow. Wow. What a race. What do you guys think about that one? Tell us in the chat. Was that a good race or what? 1 out of 10. What are we thinking here? That was a wild one. That was a crazy race.
And we didn't see rain during the race, but we saw it well and truly during qualifying, and that also played a little bit of an impact. But there he is, Hurricane, lifting that trophy, and well, very, very well deserved again for him. His first win of the season. It'll be our 4th interview with him, but his first win streak. So I'm sure he'll be very, very happy to finally get on the top step.
Definitely, definitely. Well, there you have it. Once again, the Ferrari is on top. Hurricane with the race win here from 2nd position on this grid, joining him on the podium. The Spaniard of Azir in the Williams from 4th to 2nd in this race. And I have to say, last but not least on the podium, it is the Englishman. It is Henners in the McLaren, 19th position to 3rd after a qualifying ban in this one. And I have to say, that's probably the race of his career thus far. Jake finishing in 4th from 8th. Jones, 18th to 5th. What a drive out of the racing points today. It was Swifty splitting them in 6th. Relax finishing in 7th in the other racing point. Mammal in 8th from 16th position. He collects points for the first time this season in the Mercedes. It's the Haas boys, Jean and Cotters, collecting double points, 9th and 10th respectively. Max O'Connor landing himself just outside here in the reserve capacity. Liam, 12th. XTXP 13th. Neon in 14th. And Neon, the last driver to finish in contention here. Aliens retiring just before getting classified with a race finish here. The DNFs going to him. Weltering, Crampy, Rackety, and unfortunately Kai Bacchini as well. Wow. Just wow. Jaw dropped after that one. We had 2 safety cars and a VSC. What a dynamic and exciting race.
Yeah, truly just incredible stuff. A lot of very clean racing as well from these drivers. We saw some awesome just wheel-to-wheel action, and that's what you love to see. These races, you can have as many position changes as you want, but if they're all down that back straight, no one can really say that was a stellar race, but these drivers really put on a show around sections of the track that you got to be pretty brave to stick a car in, go side by side to them, but they really just outdid themselves today, Striff, and it's just been a joy to watch that entire race there.
Well, we are going to kick off the interviews, and of course, kicking off for the 3rd position interview, we have a driver who's never joined us in interviews in MRL before, but you've been with me in this booth before. It is going to be my former Tier 2, Season 2 commentator, Henners. Was that a drive or was that a drive?
I actually can't believe it. Honestly, that was so good. The medium was so fast at the end. Oh, what a race!
What a race! 19th position. You finished 3rd. You had a penalty. How did it feel when Jake took 3 seconds?
I had a switchy in my ear, and he was saying he's got a penalty. I was like, this is my chance. This is my chance. I have to go sweat mode. So I fully sent it. Full send.
It was a very up and down race for the McLarens today. A very up and down race, period. Talk us through it.
It was. I had a good start. I think there was a few crashes in front of me, so I gained a few positions on the first lap. I think I was up to 14th, 15th, and then safety car came out. It was all go from there, really, from mediums. Fast.
Head down, pedal to the metal, doing what you can. You had some
Exactly.
very, very tight battles, I have to say. A lot of work had to be done to get this 3rd position. So, congratulations. And potentially we'll see you here again soon, of course. And it's only up from here. Great job, Henry.
Cheers.
Joining us now, the 2nd place finisher here in Shanghai. It is the Spaniard. It is the Williams driver. It is Azir. Congratulations. How was that race for you?
Thanks so much. It was a hard race, but P2 it's so good. Nice points for the team and a really good race.
When you came into this race today, was the expectation for Williams to finish on the podium, or was it points, or what was the target coming in today?
We'll expect some points for the team, but never the podium.
Awesome. That's so great when you come into a race and you land yourself not only on the podium, not 3rd, but 2nd position. Congratulations, Azir. How is Williams looking for the next round of racing?
I think we are looking for more luck for aliens, but mm, continue looking for points, and yeah, that's it.
Do you have a message for any of your friends and viewers in Spanish? Anyone watching along? Anyone you want to talk to?
Yes, thanks so much, all the people that see me from Spain, and see you in the next race.
If it's easier to say in Spanish, you could say it in Spanish as well, my friend. People love that.
¡Viva España!
Thank you so much, Azir. Congratulations. All right. Last but not least, and I'll give this one to Unicorn as I always do for the number one slot driver, but I just want to say from one Ferrari racer to another Hurricane, I am very happy to have you here with us this time as a race winner here in China. Congratulations. Take it away, Unicorn.
Well, Hurricane, that was a incredible drive from you. It's now 4 podiums for 4, but this time, for the first time this season, you've taken that top spot. How are you feeling?
I'm shaking. And I'm very happy right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. It was just, from the get-go, you just look super, super strong. You know, you've got all these drivers around you. They all are looking very consistent, very strong. You didn't start, you know, on pole position, but then that first safety car came out and it looked like everything was over. What was going through your head on that, you know, that first safety car?
What, Unicorn or Hurricane?
Could you hear me?
I could hear you. Yeah, Hurricane.
Excellent.
What was your thought? Was it a yes, or was it excitement, or was it frustration when those safety cars started popping out?
First, I feel frustrated because the cars behind it new tires.
For
or
sure, yeah,
I
fresh
don't know,
rubber.
fresh rubber, and I feel I need to push to the hell the car, and it was worth. So I'm happy for.
Well, the safety cars definitely presented a tough situation. The first one more than the second one. The second one was a little bit of a... It came out around the pit window, so I imagine it helped you a little bit, but it was still a struggle. But overall, I think we can all say it was a very, very great race from you today, Hurricane.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll hope to see you again next week, of course, for round 5. And enjoy the win. You're a winner today. All right. That is going to wrap up interviews. Unicorn, what a race that was, and what a campaign that really sets the bar for Tier 1 tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Tier 1 now, you guys are on notice. I mean, I don't know about all the safety cars after Vietnam last week and what we saw today, but hey, I am nervous, excited, and beyond stoked, I'll say, for Tier 1 action tomorrow. Of course, that is it for you and I, Unicorn. Any last messages for the viewers before we head off and raid?
Yeah, well, China just doesn't seem to be able to fail to deliver. This track is just incredible when we come here in MRL, and, well, today was no different. That was a really, really strong race, and like you said, Tier 1 tomorrow is going to be just something else.
It's going to be a fun time, that's for sure. Of course, everybody, take a look at Next Level Racing, our fantastic partners. That is it for us this evening. We are going to be back, same time, same place, tomorrow, Unicorn and I, for the Tier 1 racing action. We also have APAC this week. And yes, Next Level Racing, our partners, fantastic provider of sim racing rigs and gear. But that will be it for us. And thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys again tomorrow.